Today on the Shrewd Dudes podcast, we are going to talk about a few different things. In This Week in Satire, we are going to talk about journalists and how they are informing trafficked children that they are all a part of a giant QAnon conspiracy to overthrow Hollywood. In the rants of the week, we're going to talk about American corruption. We've ranted about it a lot lately, but, it's almost as prevalent as Canadian corruption. In a little bit of a side story, a little bit of a side note, we're going to have a discussion about Trump and DeSantis and where the DeSantis campaign is going. And then in our weekly exposure, we're going to talk about Maybelline and how they are promoting the sale of makeup with cross-dressing men.
Maybe it's dude Beline.
Ugh. All of that and more on the Shrewd Dudes podcast. Camera up a little bit. There we go. Okay, so we are... Yes, what?
We can see outside the border. There's more in your basement.
Yeah, there's the
illusion,
wall
man.
that my children have marked up.
You've
Well,
completely broken the illusion. We thought like you were in some kind of a studio, and now it's like no,
No.
just a silly old.
I'm just in the corner.
That's right. You're hiding like one of those lizard people,
Hiding one of the lizard people.
hoping that the world never sees you, never finds out.
They're definitely going to see me. They're definitely going to see me.
That's right.
I know. I'm just petrified of that.
You're quite prominent. This is why you make so much effort to troll people on Twitter, because you're like, well, I can't.
It's just a ton of fun.
I will freak them out if I come out into the light and start melting like the Wicked Witch of the West. So it's just easier on Twitter.
Melting like the Wicked Witch of the West. That's a new one.
If you're
Anyways, so we are
we
live right now, currently on Twitch, and I swear if we are live right now on Twitter, I'm going to shoot someone. I told Danny, and we literally are. We literally are.
You have to kick that habit.
I told Danny the process that I went through to try and remove us from live streaming on Twitter today. Mm-hmm. I literally took off the permissions to stream onto Twitter today, and it's still doing it.
I think you're gonna have to do a try, maybe like a test run.
Yeah,
do a test run on a off day or something like that, just to test it out, just to make sure it works.
I don't know. Things are whack. But anyways, you are free to join us on Twitch, where we'll be answering any chat that you may have. And of course, this is a live stream, so we'll be talking about a whole bunch of stuff. So add your questions, add your commentary, and we will do our best to address it in the most timely manner that we can. But of course, forgive us for tardiness, because I'm not going to say that, but okay.
Well, I would say not being punctual is failing to live
we're
up
so
to your
rarely
expectations.
punctual.
It's sin. We're sinful boys. We have to atone for our sins. Good thing we're not Catholic.
This sounds really wrong.
Straight to confessional.
Straight to the confessional. Well,
straight to the confessional. Yeah,
that's sometimes where we need to go.
Just like Seamus with the spoons, he's got to go straight to confessional and confess his sins. It's a terrible thing.
Yeah, Thursday night stream.
Yes, right, man.
Let's go. So, Danny, did anything interesting happen to you the past couple days?
Interesting happened to me in the last couple of days. Let me think. You know what? Funny enough, yesterday was like the most lazy day ever. Like, speaking of laziness, like the most lazy day ever. I came home. I was like, I'm going to accomplish several things. And then I was like, nope. Just decided to go do a Netflix. Ended up eating a nice dinner. I realized I'm like, this weekend I'm going to be going to car show / demolition derby,
Oh,
and then Sunday I'm going to be super busy. So
fun.
yeah, it's going to be more fun next. I'll have more to report on Tuesday. But
Yep.
I was like, you know what? I need a day off like midweek, so
Mm.
I figured Wednesday was going to be on my day. What about you, man? You
Um,
always have the
well,
exciting things.
nothing really happened to me that was exceptionally exciting,
What?
but
You always have something to
my
share.
my coworker
Oh.
had so he was working in this one area, and somebody on a scooter, I think it was one of those electric scooters, the scooter caught something on the road, they face planted, they like cut themselves heavily on the road, they knocked themselves out cold.
Dang.
And so my coworker is like calling 911, calling security, like trying to figure out the stuff that's going on. Like we sent over another one of my coworkers because she's like the staff first aider. And I'm like, wow, that was kind of crazy. So he's like asking the guy questions. He's like, "Do you know what happened?" And he's like, "I don't even remember, man." And then yeah, I exploited some crazy deals on Prime Day. So that was fun. That was
That's
indeed
right.
fun.
Steven got himself a nice Bluetooth speaker. I got myself a grill. Camp
Yes.
grill. And I'm excited to test it out. It's gonna be good, man.
Yeah, I'm excited to put the Bluetooth speaker in my work vehicle. And then tomorrow, it's sort of interesting because tomorrow a lot of the staff get they get a special compensation for it being Stampede. So they
Okay.
can take off 1 half day during Stampede week. And so everybody that forgot to take off a day up until now is taking tomorrow off. And so we have like 5 employees who are going to be working tomorrow,
Well,
or at least
that's
tomorrow
gonna be
afternoon. And so I'm like, oh, okay. We're just kind of going to be like guessing on what we're going to be doing for the afternoon. Sure, let's do that.
That'll be fun.
So looking forward to that.
See, I proved my point. You always have something to share.
Yes, I try and be interesting.
Have an exciting life.
Yep.
That's right. Big old dad of 4.
Yes. Big
But
old
man,
data 4.
I'm excited about this. Like Thursdays are always fun because we always have like the fun segments, and
Yep.
I decided to like bring Steven a cold reveal. So it's gonna be his first time seeing this, and I actually want to see his reaction to
Yep.
this one. So this is courtesy of Twitter, and I'm like, you know what? You always got to start with a little bit of levity because this world is dark and grim and very
Truly
sad,
depressing.
and
Yep.
it's kind of like, wow, I want to see like what kind of like crazy reacts we can pull off just to
Okay.
kind of get people going.
So, all right. So, looking at this,
away.
it seems to be some sort of piece of paper on the windshield of a car.
Yes.
So, let's see what happens.
Went to Walmart. I found this on my car saying, sorry for the damage on your car. Can't afford to fix it, but here's chocolate instead. Left this, and here's the damage on my car.
Oh my gosh!
Went to Walmart. I found this on my car saying,
Isn't that crazy? You think maybe it's a scratch, right? Like maybe it's
It's
like a
like,
little
nope.
or something like that. Nope, they completely crumpled the entire passenger door. It's like I don't know if that's like
Oh my
you gotta give
gosh!
some points for being thoughtful, or if like you should literally hunt them down, Liam Neeson style.
Yeah, that's when you need to like search up the camera footage because it's just like,
will-
oh, if it's just like a small ding, it's like okay, I guess. But it's just like, oh, my door might not be openable because
Yeah, yeah.
of this jackass.
The car may not be.
They got me
drivable.
chocolate though.
Yeah, I mean, it's, at least it'll cover the tears.
Like
It's
how?
repair
Like
bill.
the car is parked. How hard are you hitting them?
And it's a
Like
massive.
you probably
dent.
have to be going at least like 30-40 to cause that much damage.
They showed the actual like the still of.
Yeah, I'll show the
car
still
itself.
of the picture.
The picture of the car itself. Yeah, like it's crazy. Like they did not just. Yeah, that's it. They crumpled the entire passenger door.
Like, yeah,
think
that's
might not
you
open.
had to be going at speed.
Mm-hmm.
Like these are the kind of jokes we play with my coworkers because something happens and somebody's like, "Oh, like look at this damage," and we're like, "How fast were you going?" He's like, I didn't hit it. And we're like, sure, wink. And he's like, I swear.
I mean, yeah, just like I will find you and I will hurt you.
I will kill you.
I will kill you.
Yep.
There you go, man. But
Mhm.
that wasn't the only crazy thing that happened to a woman. This one's
Yes.
actually cell phoned. So take the next one.
So from Not the Bee. Can someone explain to me how a woman's brain works? Yeah, that's something we all want to know, man. That's something we
And this
all
one
want to
is
know.
even more of a question. So play the video. Play the
Okay,
video, man.
so this is
Another cold reveal.
from Target.
By the way, there's no sound on this one, but
Okay, so the lady is lifting the grocery cart, and now it's loading.
oh, of course.
Okay, now she's
Getting
tipping.
Getting over. Oh, here we go. She hops over the fence.
Yeah.
Now she slowly, very gently, pivot.
Oh, is she gonna tip
Pivot.
it over the front end? No, she's gonna
No,
bring
you
it over.
think so? You would think she would. And then, now she just kind of moves that one out of the way, proving that it moves. Off she goes.
What the fuck?
Of course not, right? Of course. Why would you just move the original card? You have to go through this elaborate process to get this thing out of there.
Yeah, see, we had to do something with the cart today too, but ours was partially just wasting time.
Yeah.
So we found a cart lying around on campus, and so we're like, okay, well, our vehicle is pretty small, so we have some stuff in our vehicle, so we got to go back to shop, unload some of the things in our vehicle, go and grab this empty shopping cart. We got to take it back to Save On or Safeway or whatnot, whatever.
Yeah.
And so people are kind of looking at us back at the shop, and they're like, "What are you guys doing?" We're like, "We're not done. We need to go grab something." And they're like, "But why are you emptying that? Don't you need that?" We're like, "No, we don't have enough room for a shopping cart." And then we were like, we had bungees, and then we had gone across with the bungees, and we're like, you know what? This is the stupidest way of doing bungees, because the shopping cart is just flailing around in the back. And I'm like, yeah, we basically strapped this down so that it wouldn't fly away, but it's still going to hit the sides. And so we're like, okay, fine, we'll just make it tighter, and we're like, do it this way. And so I was weaving it back and forth, and I'm like, good, it won't hit anything. We're good now.
I'm not sure if you can read the comments on that tweet.
Oh.
From that one.
I can read some of them. Master's degree in education, no doubt. My brain hurts just trying to piece together how this woman has made it into adulthood without catastrophic failure. Yeah. That's true, though. This is
the one person
why?
actually on Twitter. This is one person's comment on Twitter. The icing on the cake is that after having apparently moved it to the other stall because the second cart was blocking her way, when the second cart once again blocks her way,
she moves the cart. Yep. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Oh, it's just one of the. This is the kind of thing you would see a toddler do.
Yes.
Or a toddler doesn't kind of really kind of figure things out very well.
Doesn't process a whole bunch of decision making skills. Yeah.
Adult toddlers. Oh, those are so adorable.
Adult toddlers who have no idea what they're doing. So,
yeah.
But speaking of poor decision making skills, let's talk about diversity hiring on aircraft.
Oh, that's always a good idea.
So this,
by the
of
way,
course,
I love this new intro for Freedom Tunes. It actually works really well.
It is really good. It is really, really good.
It's like the Simpsons poster,
Yeah, I'm just lowering my
You
volume a
notice
little
that
bit
Tim
because it's a little
Pool's at
too
the very
loud.
bottom there,
Yes, with his
right
beanie.
next to Trump. Right next to Trump. And I was
Yep.
sweet.
Tim Pool and his beanie,
Mhm.
and Ben Shapiro,
Yep.
Oompa Loompa,
Yep.
Democrat man.
There's the what's this, with the guy
Oh,
the main the CNN kind of standing guy with the square glasses.
Oh, this guy, Dr. Mac.
Dr. Mac. That's right.
Yeah, and then of course the debunkers.
Where are they?
Right here.
Oh, right there
in the center.
Right, yeah, right underneath you.
And then
Somebody good.
oh, and then up here,
Yeah.
they have the two trans bodybuilders.
The one with the white dress. He's the one that does the Halo.
Oh, the Hallow, yeah, the Guardian Angel.
Just like yells at you. It's like, you gotta get this app.
You gotta pray more. All right, but let's watch the video just to we'll have a reaction to this. We've already seen it, but it's hilarious. So from Freedom Tunes, when your pilot is an affirmative action hire.
Whoa, that's great! The pilot was chosen because of their skin color.
Hey, I have to pretend to be mad you said that.
No, I'm saying it like it's a good thing.
Good, because it's definitely a good thing.
So good, I want to warn everyone on the plane about the good news.
What a fabulous idea! Hey everyone, ladies, gentlemen, children. There are children on this plane. Oh, wonderful!
That's always good.
Great news!
Really great news. This airline has decided to pick its pilots based on diversity.
Oh, wonderful. My child is here.
Yeah, I'm so glad to witness history like this.
Yeah, we really are gonna be history.
Whoa, that's so great. I wish the people who built the plane were selected because they were black women.
We need the person in the front of the plane to be a different color than the people in the back of the plane. Or the same skin color. Haha, I can't think of anything more important in a pilot than them looking like me. I flew in Desert Storm and got passed up for this job. I'm so happy for they, them.
Hey everyone, thank you for flying with us today. To celebrate our new pilot's inaugural flight, we're just gonna leave the seatbelt signs on the whole time, if that's okay. Please, don't ask me for anything.
In today's news, DEI Airlines Flight 267 has landed unconventionally with no survivors.
It's suspected that white supremacist attitudes among passengers likely caused the pilot to lose control of the airline, with DEI Airlines opening an investigation into passenger conduct. And this news station has obtained audio of the flight's final moments from the flight's box of color.
Oh, wow. I've never been on a plane pointed in this direction before. Oh, how historic.
Who says they're supposed to stay in the air anyway? I'm a retired pilot. Maybe I can help? Not to imply she needs my help or anything.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't want to imply that.
Yeah, I think maybe it's time for white men to sit down and listen.
Terrain.
Sorry. Oh,
Terrain.
we're really close to the ground, huh? Not that that's a bad thing.
Oh,
Mostly peaceful landing.
The airline released this statement earlier today. We at DEI Airlines would like to sincerely apologize. After reviewing black box audio from an unconventionally landed flight, it's been revealed that our customers failed to clap for our pilot after the plane made contact with the ground. White pilots receive applause every day, and this is an unacceptable double standard. We vow to do better and are starting by withholding settlement money from the passengers' families.
I just noticed, like, at one point in the black box recording,
Yep.
it actually says in brackets incompetence increasing.
Yes, it does.
I was like, that's awesome. Seamus
Incompetence increasing.
is a brilliant man.
Yep, it's great stuff.
Yeah, even if it steals spoons, he's still a good boy.
Yep, so Freedom Tunes is always a win, but then again, Babylon B is not far behind. So, jumping it into this week in satire, let's talk about Journalists.
The movie that everyone must see.
Yes, which they actually did extend showtimes in Calgary.
Yay!
But I still can't see
Can't
it.
go see it, you.
Well, because my in-laws, like, they notified us this was either yesterday or today. And they're like, oh yeah, we're not taking the kids on Fridays anymore. And I'm like, oh, I was wanting to go see this movie. So, that's the way it is.
But you know what? It is already like it was the number one movie in America. Like I think it was yesterday.
Yeah.
Which is pretty amazing. I'm like,
It is.
yay! Sound of freedom, sound of freedom.
All right. So, for this week in satire, journalists stop by shelter to inform trafficked children that they are a QAnon conspiracy. So, victims of child sex trafficking are reportedly disheartened by the extra attention they've been getting since the theatrical release of Sound of Freedom. Sources say the film has prompted visits by members of the nation's media who, instead of showing support, informing them they are merely unhinged QAnon conspiracies. Rest easy, little girl, reporter Richard James explained to 7-year-old Maria Gomez. You don't even exist. Their children, who actually do exist, have thus far failed to correct the now popular narrative that they exist solely as imagined nightmares floating in the sea of deranged MAGA minds. I don't understand. We're here. We're literally slaves, said one child before her microphone was cut off to protect the public from believing dangerous conspiracy theories. We're going to expose these QAnon followers who keep pretending child sex trafficking is a very real and prevalent problem, reported CNN anchor Anderson Cooper. Those monsters. To date, no one has been able to explain where the traumatized children filling up shelters keep coming from.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Oh, CNN, you are a joke. But in the later segment, CNN actually apologizes for something, but it has nothing to do with saving children or being good people. But, yes, so we should talk about a little bit about how the mainstream media, especially those of, like, I think it's CNN and The Guardian and The Daily Beast, and they are trying to discredit The Sound of Freedom, which is, of course, a very prominent, very popular movie of late, and they're trying to push the notion that it's only popular because it's a QAnon conspiracy theory, or that it appeals to QAnon individuals. No. It does not appeal to people because it is conspiracy theory or that it appeals to QAnon people. It is an action thriller about something which is morally good. This is why people flock to the first Taken movie.
Methinks they protest too much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like child sex trafficking is a horrendous thing, and we want to end it. So, greetings to Console Document. You have joined us. Yay. It took you damn long enough.
By the way, I wanted to ask people, like, I had an idea, and we're thinking about possibly doing it. But what would you think about like a 3-minute, like, countdown before the show, as a way of kind of like getting ready to watch the show? I'm thinking it would work. I think it'd be good.
Yep, it could work. It could be terrible failure.
Don't worry, Console Document. We are not Trump. We are not going to fire you. But we shall mock you for many, many moons. So
yeah,
just prepare yourself. Prepare yourself for the
humiliation
and shame.
Yeah, you better not be.
That's right. You better act up, bro.
Yeah,
so,
there will be punishment.
There'll be many, many consequences. But are you ready for the rant of the week, bro? Are you ready?
Yep. Let's go.
Like you're ready.
I am.
Like you actually have no readiness, like
in your
vicinity.
I am somewhat ready. I just sent off a tweet.
I'm so disappointed.
I can get ready in a few seconds.
Oh, okay. Well, should we put a countdown for your readiness? Maybe make it a 5-minute countdown.
No. 3, 2, 1.
Red alert.
Bam.
Okay, so from Politico. Secret Service ends White House cocaine investigation with no suspects. At this time, the Secret Service investigation is closed due to a lack of physical evidence, they said in a statement. What about video evidence?
Wait, what? Lack of physical evidence?
Yes.
Okay, like they found cocaine. Isn't that physical evidence?
Well, but I think they're probably saying it's like, well, we didn't find Hunter Biden's precise fingerprints on it.
No.
Therefore, it's like there's no point to review the video footage, which would literally likely link to things. But it could also be exactly what the whistleblowers from several weeks ago told us was happening, and that's the DOJ saying, "Don't look into this. Look the other way. Nothing is happening. This is a non-issue." It's totally a nothing burger that cocaine was found at the White House. Totally a nothing burger.
It's like they're always asking you to hold their beer. Be like, I'll bet you anything. It's like they're probably laughing like to themselves. Be like, hey, I bet you I can like put like cocaine in the White House and I'll totally get away with like, no way, man. It's like, hold my beer. It's like, hey, I'll bet you I can take my laptop to like a repair shop and just never pick it up, and it'll be totally fine, dude. You have all sorts of like criminal stuff on that. It'll be totally fine. I guarantee you. It's like, hold my beer. It's like I bet you this is like the ultimate like dare contest, and they just keep getting away with it, and they're just running out of like legitimate like things. Are like I can't get away with anything now, man. Like I dare you to go out to the front lawn in the White House and just shoot an illegal immigrant. Like, dude, I'd never get away with that. Like, hold my beer.
Oh, absolutely never.
I wonder what the next thing will be.
But Danny, we're just not special.
No, we are not part of that elite class that gets basically like complete immunity from everything. They're basically Hunter Biden is basically Peter Griffin when he had this home country. And he had like diplomatic immunity. I'm like, he basically does whatever he wants. It's like, I got diplomatic immunity, bro. It's like, oh my gosh. Oh my goodness.
Oh yes, but unfortunately, that's not where corruption is.
No. Well, here's why. Okay, so here's the stories is that it's like it's getting so flagrant and blatant how they're not even trying to hide it anymore. They're just doing it right in plain sight. They're doing it right into your face. It's like they're literally rubbing it into your face. They're peeing on your face and telling you it's rain. Like they don't even care anymore. And the some of the stories that we're going to cover here pretty much prove that the deep state, they couldn't care less if people knew that they're trying to that they're bending justice and totally cheating.
Oh yeah,
doing all this stuff. These stories
they stopped caring a long time ago.
Oh yeah, they just don't give a crap.
Yep.
So, yeah, take us to the next story, Steve.
Okay, let's go to the next story. So, from the Daily Caller, Matt Gaetz. So, Gaetz caps off grilling FBI director with last-second zinger. So, representative from Florida, Matt Gaetz, slammed FBI Director Christopher Wray on Wednesday for allegedly failing to uphold his duties as a director. He was testifying at the Oversight Committee when Gaetz began questioning him about text messages allegedly sent from Hunter to the Chinese businessman. Wray refused to comment on the alleged text, prompting Gaetz to ask whether Wray was protecting the Biden family. So let's watch. Let's have fun.
Don't you see that that's kind of the thing, Director Wray, that you preside over the FBI that has the lowest level of trust in the FBI's history? People trusted the FBI more when J. Edgar Hoover was running the place than when you are. And the reason is because you don't give straight answers. You give answers that later a court deems aren't true. And then at the end of the day, you won't criticize an obvious shakedown when it's directly in front of us. And it appears as though you're whitewashing the conduct of corrupt people.
Respectfully, Congressman, in your home state of Florida, the number of people applying to come work for us and devote their lives working for us is up over 100%.
We're deeply proud of them, and they deserve better than you.
Wow.
Yikes.
That man is a god.
That is
Congress.
a zinger. They deserve better than you.
Yep. Wow. Matt Gaetz it's an absolute beast.
Oh man, that was brutal.
He absolutely grilled. So the thing is, I don't know if they have compilations of that, Christopher Wray on Congress, but he basically was he didn't care. He everything they threw at him, he's like, oh, I choose not to answer. I choose not to answer. Like the guy has no fear, and he basically he just kind of kind of poo-poos away everyone's answers or questions because he's like, I don't answer to you. I'm my own boss. I basically have my own my own rules. And
I
all
have
that
my
kind
own
of
rules, my own objectives.
stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No, like
Here,
this.
do me a favor. Do me a favor.
Yes?
Actually, go before you go into that. Go just look go to Twitter. You just type in Chris Ray, his name. Charlie Kirk has a really good. He actually did it on a show today. He had a really good compilation. It's only 27 seconds, but it's worth it. Type in Chris Ray, and then Charlie Kirk has right there. Just play that. It's really
Speak to
quick.
that
It
here.
shows you.
I'm not an expert. I'm not sure yet. I would really have to see more closely. I'm not sure that I can give you that number. I can't get into. I'm not aware of any such evidence. I'm not going to speak to that. I'll decline to comment further. I will work with the department to make sure we can figure out what information we can provide. Again, I'm not going to get into that here. Well, again, I don't want to speculate about. I can't speak to the specifics. I can't remember the dates. I just can't speak to that here. I'm not an expert. I'm not sure yet. I would really have to see.
Oh, now it started again, but like that's ridiculous.
The guy just won't answer a question.
Like, well, it's refusing to answer a question under the guise of incompetence, and it's like, okay, well, there's two solutions to this. If you are actually incompetent, then you should be removed. If you are corrupt, then you should be arrested.
Yeah,
those are the two solutions. Like, seeing those answers being given to basic, like, run-of-the-mill questions about things that matter to the American people and to the North American people, because we actually do care about corruption. Unlike, what Trudeau believes about us, because he doesn't think we actually care about corruption. That's why he commits blatant acts of corruption every year. Oh yeah, he thinks we're stupid, and then we'll just kind of go in line.
Yep.
And then he thinks that he can buy off support of anybody that he doesn't like.
right.
But yeah, if you are the head of an intelligence agency and your answer to a significant question is I don't know, like, it depends on the question, but if you continually answer with I don't know, I'm not aware, or I'm not going to answer that question, then you're negligent. You're in dereliction of your duty to the American people to provide them with what they need to know on relevant cases. If the president, like, the FBI knows that President Biden is involved in all of this. The Department of Justice knows that President Biden is involved in all of this. They are complicit in hiding up his nefarious deeds and hiding up his son's business ventures, where he sells off the Biden name and he sells off American influence to the highest bidder, because they know that it would implicate them as well.
Mm-hmm. It's unbelievable that, like, I've seen so many videos of Congress people asking people, like, straight questions, and these are not complicated questions. They're not even, like, questions that you can only answer if you have very, like, very, very in-depth knowledge. They're obfuscating.
Yep.
It's so obvious that they're not giving you a straight answer on purpose and by design. Like the video we saw last week about that the new lady who's in charge of the human rights campaign or whatever in Congress.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they asked her, like, is there a difference between men and women? It's like it's like, no, you're clearly not answering on purpose because you want to obfuscate and profligate your stuff. So the reason why this is so concerning with Ray is that, like, when you go to Congress, they're not reporters. Okay, when a reporter asks somebody a question, they're under no obligation to answer. But when you go to Congress, particularly, like, in this kind of,
you have an obligation to tell the truth.
You have an obligation to answer correctly and answer truthfully. The fact that he can get away with answering like this with zero accountability is incredibly concerning. So once again, one of the reasons why I think it's a good thing, and I think it would be a very good thing if Trump is elected, is that he probably is the most likely person to go straight in day one. Ray, you're fired. You're fired. Yeah, just get him out of there. Like, seriously, these people should, at the very least, these people should be, like, completely fired, if not put under, like, criminal prosecution for their crap.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable. So the American government, the DOJ, the FBI, totally compromised. Take the next article. This is from the
Yep.
Dispatch Review, and it kind of like alleges.
Well,
that
it's addressing the stuff that happens. So an FBI
Yeah,
whistleblower who
sure.
testified to Congress in the spring says FBI Director Christopher Wray is a liar. Well, that's pretty obvious. According to whistleblower Steve Friend, when Wray testified early Wednesday that the FBI never surveilled school board hearings for dissenting parents, he lied. The FBI director told the Judiciary GOP that special agents did not conduct surveillance of school boards. He lied. The JTF in my office did it. I testified about the details in May, Friend tweeted later that afternoon. When Wray specifically said during his testimony on Wednesday to Congress was this: the FBI is not in the business of investigating or policing speech at school board meetings or anywhere else for that matter. Problem is that
Nice.
Friend said the exact opposite when he was questioned by Representative Matt Gaetz while testifying before Congress on May 18th. Let's see how long is this
Mr.
video.
Friend, you ever been to a school board meeting?
Yes, I have.
FBI ever sent you to the parking lot of a school board meeting?
Yes, they have.
And in the parking lot of a school board meeting where the FBI sent you, you were taking down information regarding people's license plates.
That's correct.
Now, it wasn't the first time you'd been to a school board meeting, was it?
No, I went on my own as a private citizen.
As a parent.
Yes.
And so there you were. It must have been quite an interesting perspective. There you were taking down the information of people, parents attending school board meetings on behest of the FBI, and you had been one of those parents at a school board meeting. How did that feel?
Well, after I attended privately, my colleagues teased me that they were probably going to start investigating me.
Wow, at the FBI.
You used to go after the worst of the worst, didn't you?
Yes, I believe so.
You went after people who looked at child porn,
Yes.
people who were sexually exploiting children,
Yes.
and then you were in the parking lot of a school board meeting, taking down the information of parents. What happened to the cases that you were working to protect our communities from the worst predators that exist?
I was told they were not to be resourced, and then after I was suspended, they were handed off to local law enforcement.
Wow, so the FBI just decided it was more important to have you in that parking lot of that school board meeting than getting the worst of the worst away from people that they could harm.
That's correct.
But you deserve the consequences you are getting, according to the ranking member.
Dang, son.
Yep.
Dang.
Yep.
Straight fire.
Well, but like, and this, of course, kind of circles back. Jen Psaki, all again.
Jen
Chen
Psaki.
Psaki returns with a
You know what?
vengeance.
You don't deserve to have a silent P. You don't deserve it.
Yeah, you're
You
gonna
get
get the
the
solid
full P.
P. The solid P.
That's right.
But, like, there is a reason that they don't want people talking about some of these things. They don't want you talking about the Biden family corruption. They don't want you talking about child sex trafficking. There is an agenda. And yes,
There is.
the agenda can sometimes be hard to determine. Because sometimes people have different interpretation of what the agenda is. Some people think the agenda is like sucking the blood of the innocent. And other people think that there is, a cabal of powerful elites that are trying to push the world in a certain direction. That are trying to remove essentially a good portion of the middle class and make a poverty class, which is almost entirely dependent on the elites. The elite class.
I think it's pretty obvious that they're gaming the system. They're selectively enforcing the system, and obviously, like, all of these things are obvious. The real question is, what is their purpose? Maybe their end goal. What is their what's really behind the scenes? And that's how they can basically get you and be like, oh, it's conspiracy theories, which is basically just a euphemism for calling you crazy. But in reality, like, no, it's obvious. They're like, the fact that the FBI director is so obviously obfuscating and pretending to play dumb when he obviously knows, it shows that, like, well, that's undeniable. The fact that they're, like, literally going after parents, that's undeniable. But they pretend like it never happened. So these people they're basically secret police at this point. They're not. They were originally established as some kind of basically law enforcement wing of the federal government, but now they're basically a secret police. We basically have a KGB-like entity in the United States, which, by the way, if you're in Canada, the RCMP acts like the KGB. Did you hear it, Stephen? Like the rumors, or at least like I think there are rumors. I'm not sure. I haven't confirmed them, but there's rumors that in some possibly decent evidence, or at least testimonies, that basically the RCMP planted the guns
Oh yeah,
in that Coots blockade.
yeah. That's
All the guys that were charged,
been fairly widely kind of
well known. Yeah,
widely spread for a while.
yeah. But the problem there is like, oh, the RCMP would like, no, they would never do anything wrong. Give me a break. They're
Mhm.
compromised. They're captured. So like, it's the the FBI. They're not above like cheating and totally like over basically doing things just to scare people and to try to like put the fear of God into people. And the RCMP has no problems abusing their power if it helps them accomplish their goals or something like that. So yeah, it's crazy.
Oh man, apparently I just
Establishment.
it's hard for me to. I have to like lean fairly far back, and so typing is a bit of a nuisance. I just can't spell establishment.
Shoving the pressure.
There we go. My bad.
No, it's okay, man. That's
You dick console document. All right, let's move on to the next story and talk about Ray Epps,
All right, the final
the
part.
traitor,
of this
like
thing,
console document.
it's basically the guy who, for the longest time, it was so freaking obvious that this guy should like. If you're gonna put people in jail, like okay, there's people who are at the Capitol, who are in prison right now
Mm-hmm.
and have been in prison in solitary confinement against like all sorts of laws and humanitarian kind of like violations, who are there and they have yet to be charged for anything. And yet this guy who's on video actually like trying to encourage people and try to like egg people on to go into the Capitol, this guy faces nothing, like never faced anything. Obviously the question is like what is the level of his involvement with the feds? It seems I don't know. It seems maybe he's not actually a Fed himself, but it seems extremely likely like he
That
was
he's
either
connected.
hired or connected to the Fed somehow.
Yeah.
The guy was so obviously trying to get people riled up and get them to actually do like like actual crimes. So yeah, the fact that he's being charged sounds more like a well, we can't hide this anymore, so let's just kind of preempt this. 'Cause like the deep state doesn't care about throwing people under the bus. But once again, it's more fodder to show that the FBI, DOJ, they're all basically full of crap. Anyways, read the story.
Yeah. So, from the BBC, Ray Epps sues Fox News for Capitol riot conspiracy claim. I love how they say conspiracy claim and then they literally highlight what exactly he did. So, a former U.S. Marine became the focus of right-wing conspiracy surrounding the Capitol riot, suing Fox News for defamation. So it accuses Fox of telling a fantastical story suggesting Ray Epps was a federal agent to make him scapegoat for the raid on Congress. He was filmed encouraging people to enter the Capitol in January.
Is it possible? Like it shouldn't be hard. Ray Epps, Capitol. Like I'm sure if you search it on Twitter, it should come right up.
I'm just going to search up Ray Epps Fed. Because when they chant Fed...
Yeah. Yeah, right there on Twitter.
There it is. This is Ray Epps the night before.
Good sound?
We need to go into the Capitol. Into the Capitol. What? No. We need to go into the Capitol.
Yeah. That's what he's saying. And then the longer one, he's...
Yes, you are. Guys, yes, you are. Guys, I'm not saying... They've already given up their American rights. Yeah, so I'm going to put it out there. I'm probably going to go to jail for it, okay? Tomorrow, we need to go into the Capitol. Into the Capitol. What? No! Peacefully. Fed.
Screaming Fed.
By the way, if you hear what he said tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? That means that he was like, this is before any of this happened. So when people were going to the Capitol, like a giant faction of the people that went into the Capitol went in because the police were waving them in.
Yeah.
Like nobody knew that. Like most people felt they were just going to be like protesting outside. And at the very beginning, most of the people were just outside.
Yeah.
But not only were people pushing them in or like waving them in, but there was also like we saw videos of police actually like shooting like
tear
what do you call
gas.
it? Tear gas into the crowds, trying to rile them up and all that kind of stuff, right? So you have to remember the fact that he said this the night before that like, oh, we have to go into the Capitol. That seems extremely like suspect for somebody who's just acting like this is why people were like, what? What are you talking about? What going to the Capitol? Like people were like legitimately like wondering what the heck was going on. So it reeks of a almost like something planned where he knew in advance that like, oh yeah, we're gonna try to get people inside the Capitol and basically entrapment, and we want you to kind of like egg them on into. So the fact that people were shocked by him saying that isn't surprising because like I don't think anybody could have predicted the night before that they were going to go into the Capitol. Even like Trump was like he told them like, yeah, we're all going to march to the Capitol, as in outside. He never at no point did he ever say that people should go inside. I think him, Alex Jones, who was on location, a lot of people were shocked that people were going in. So like Ray Epps, I'm like, I'm sorry, man. How the heck do you like? Are you basically like telling people like loudly that we should go inside the Capitol the day before?
Yeah.
I'm like, this guy's hella guilty, bro. Hella guilty. He knows some stuff.
Insight. Well, like you look at a comparison. You look at a comparison between Ray Epps and someone in Canada like Arter.
Yeah, I remember. Like, I was thinking that
Arter
too.
did not say, "Oh, you need to attack people. Oh, you need to break the law." It's like, no. Just hold the line and stand your ground and peacefully protest.
Yeah.
And Ray Epps is like, "Oh no, we need to breach the Capitol." And then it's like after they start calling him out, he's like, "Peacefully." And it's like, how do you breach the Capitol peacefully?
Yeah.
Like you didn't know that we were going to be ushered in. You didn't know that this was going to happen. Oh no, because you wanted there to be. And then, of course, like right before one of the barricades was tossed down, Ray Epps talks to this guy, and then immediately the guy starts disturbing crap, and that's when the riot like starts in earnest.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's easily enough evidence to point to the fact that Ray Epps is a big instigator of a lot of the events of January 6th, alongside all the things that happened prior with the shooting of the tear gas and with the harming of peaceful protesters, which incited them to greater incidents.
Yeah, Ray Epps is basically the American, like the Capitol Hill version of what the native grandmother was in Canada. Remember, like the grandmother got run over. Like she was kind of like the one that they always refer to, like how bad was it at the crackdown of the freedom protest? Is like everyone always points to the grandmother who was literally run over by horses.
Yep.
Here it's like when people want to point out that this was likely an entrapment, and that was probably most likely orchestrated by a lot of people, including most likely people like Nancy Pelosi, who was given every opportunity
to reinforce security, and she didn't.
Asked to reinforce, and she was like, "No, we're not going to reinforce anything." It's almost like they're planning something, like everything about that reeks to high heaven. So again, you start with the story about like Hunter Biden basically being completely shielded, and like they're trying to quietly hide the story about his cocaine in the White House.
Yeah,
and Ray Epps. Basically, them hiding him and protecting him and pretending like he had nothing to do with it until basically they can't anymore. To Christopher Wray, basically like getting away with like lying and completely obstructing congressional hearing. Like the justice system in the States is a joke. It is a joke, and everyone knows it. Even Democrats know it. They like it because it benefits them. So that leads us to our next major, which is Big Brother White House. Steven, so take it away.
Is this officially Big Brother, or did we just sort of not have a topic about this one? Because it doesn't really fit with Big Brother.
Nothing to see here? I don't know. Well, it's
no.
Not exactly what do you want to call it?
It's just Trump versus DeSantis.
The Trump v. DeSanctimonious.
Come on. It's the stupidest nickname.
Maybe you don't catch on. Stupidest
nickname.
apparently, like anything Trump says, his supporters will like repeat like ad nauseum without the.
Oh, I know.
According to the lady from Gays Against Groomers, like we're just like automaton robots. It's like,
Yeah.
my goodness. Anyway,
So, from Breitbart, most Republicans say Donald Trump is the strongest candidate. The survey taken July 8th to the 11th of this year asked respondents, do you think that Donald Trump is the strongest candidate the Republicans can nominate for the president? Most Republicans, 55%, expressed the belief that Trump is indeed the strongest candidate the GOP can nominate for president in the upcoming presidential election. Another 30% said he is not, and 15% remained unsure. Notably, the results from this week's survey represented a 1 point increase from the 54% of Republicans who said yes, he's the strongest candidate in May. This coincides with over half of Republicans, 52%, who chose Trump as their candidate of choice in the crowded 2024 presidential field. That figure drops to 48% among registered Republicans and independents who lean Republican. Even so, Trump is still 26 points ahead of Ron DeSantis, who garnered 22% support in the particular survey amongst registered Republicans and independents who lean Republican.
that is bad news for the for the DeSantis campaign.
It is. It is. And, like, it's... we'll talk about all this. So we'll kind of we'll talk about all of the stories involving Trump and DeSantis, and then we'll sort of kind
Go
of
through it?
bring it forth.
Yeah.
So
Maybe before you move on, maybe go down really quick to the actual results and look at where everybody is
okay, sure.
in the Breitbart story. So like you actually have the numbers.
Okay,
So right there you
so
have-
Trump is 48%, DeSantis is 22%,
You're like less than half.
Pence is 5%,
Mm-hmm.
Scott is 3%, Haley is 3%, Christie is 2%, Ramaswamy is 2%.
And there's one more underneath.
And no.
Oh.
It says it's just the poll.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
So, survey was taken amongst 1,500 U.S. adult citizens and comes as Trump continues to dominate as the frontrunner in virtually every other survey. So, yes, Trump is in the lead by at least 100% over. He has more than double over DeSantis.
Yes. And as a result of that, there's some speculation about like how serious things are for DeSantis. So
from Reuters, with Trump way ahead in 24 Republican polls, Iowa becomes do or die for DeSantis. So, July 12th, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' campaign is being a high-risk bet that it could halt Trump's march to the Republican presidential nomination by winning the key state of Iowa next January, despite the former president's commanding lead in polls and growing questions about DeSantis' viability. Even as he trails Trump by close to 30 percentage points, DeSantis and his advisors are sticking to the long-haul Iowa first strategy. They hope that as an upset win in the state would stall Trump's momentum, according to two sources close to the campaign who asked not to be identified. They acknowledged that they might never fully close the national polling gap before Iowa caucuses on January 15th, the first in a series of nominating contests to decide the Republican nominee for the November 2024 presidential election. Focus on Iowa appears to be a recognition by the campaign that DeSantis' other paths to victory are shrinking, turning the Midwestern state into a do-or-die for him, according to more than a dozen interviews with the DeSantis campaign, Trump advisors, grassroots Republican operatives in Iowa, and donors.
So that's not good news for DeSantis.
It's not.
It sounds like he's kind of putting himself into a position where the road to victory is very tight.
Yeah.
And like very unlikely. So then comes the political story about that DeSantis is now basically losing like not only support, but he's also like getting a lot of donors really upset.
Yes.
Yeah.
So billionaire Ronald Lauder met with a South Carolina senator. Others in the check writing class are also showing interest. With Ron DeSantis stalling in their presidential primary, some wealthy donors who had hoped he would beat Donald Trump are now giving Tim Scott a serious look. Businessman Ronald Lauder, the Estee Lauder makeup heir who supported Trump in 2020, recently flew to South Carolina to meet with Scott, the state's junior senator and long-shot presidential candidate, according to the three people who were in the June late meeting. The meeting comes amid widespread angst amongst wealthy GOP backers about the emerging 2024 field and DeSantis' bumpy start in particular. Many high-dollar donors in Trump's native New York City are tired of the former president and worry about his general election chances. But they say their faith in the Florida governor has been shaken by early campaign missteps and his hardline positions on abortion, trans rights, and other culture war issues. They fear time is running out for anyone else to break through.
Mm-hmm. So, a couple of things I want to say about this is that, okay, so early on, even like last fall, even before DeSantis announced. I think Trump announced before, right after the midterms, didn't he, Stephen?
Yep.
More correctly. So Trump announced early on, like right after the midterms last fall. Okay, and DeSantis didn't actually announce until I think it was
Few weeks
somewhere
ago.
like May. Yeah, a couple
Yep.
weeks ago. Okay, so here's the problem. So last fall, everyone thought it's either DeSantis or Trump, and a lot of people really believed DeSantis was kind of like the guy. Why?
Mhm.
Because Trump, right after the midterms, a lot of people were criticizing Trump because a lot of his major picks, not all of his picks, but most of his major picks,
Mhm.
didn't actually
Faltered in serious ways.
yeah, basically they didn't actually get the big wins that he was hoping for, and as a result, they didn't get the Senate, and they did not get the red wave that they were hoping for. Ultimately, a lot of people were criticizing him, saying like, "Well, he's kind of lost touch, and
Yeah.
maybe the Trump magic is gone." Now, go ahead now to DeSantis. I think everyone was kind of thinking DeSantis, the second he steps into it, he's going to be on fire. But unfortunately, here's what's happened. The DeSantis campaign has been doing a whole bunch of blunders, and I would call them not. I don't think they're even missteps. I think they're blunders, where these are not things that should be. These are not easy mistakes. It's like in tennis when you play when you watch tennis, they have something called an unforced error.
Mhm.
Okay, which is basically it was in your control to make a good shot, but you took an easy return and you biffed it by hitting the net or hitting it out of bounds. That's an unforced error. The DeSantis campaign did a whole bunch of unforced errors. A couple of them include the fact that his launch on Twitter, which was, this was going to be a big deal, ended up being a big flop because of all sorts of tech issues and a lot of other things that just made it really silly. Then you have the fact that the DeSantis campaign, they put out a really bad political video, where they used fake AI images
Mhm.
in a very disingenuous way of trying to smear. And a lot of people pointed out that it's not so much that was like the biggest crime ever. It's the fact that they would never acknowledge it or even apologize.
Yep.
That's the problem. And then on top of that, DeSantis has been making a number of really, really silly missteps, or his team has. So right now, DeSantis has really just been disappointing a lot of people, and a lot of people have not recovered. So it looks like right now, like we've said before, the problem with DeSantis is not that he's done horrible mistakes, is that he has not capitalized
Mhm.
on really the places where he should have been able to capitalize. When Trump was indicted by the New York AG, like I think Tim Pool was right. DeSantis missed a golden opportunity. He could have actually shown leadership and be like, you know what, you want to get to him, you go over my dead body.
Yeah.
Like he could have actually said no, we're not going to comply with this crap. Like you want him, you got to do it right. You can't just kind of bend the laws of the country or whatever. So DeSantis has been dropping the ball.
DeSantis had he was in such an awkward position with that incident.
Yeah.
Because yes, the thing that he should have done was he should have just said no, these are trumped up charges, they're political prosecution, and we're not going to follow through with them. But then, of course, DeSantis, a lot of DeSantis's campaign has been about, okay, we want to encourage law and order, we want to encourage doing things according to the book and being very kind of appropriate and constitutional, and we're not going to be pushing we're not going to be going in the mannerisms of kind of Trumpianism. We're not going to be kind of bloviating about things. We're not going to be insulting people to get what we want. We're going to try and be relying on using the system to get what we want to achieve. And yes, he did call out the corruption within the system, But at some point, you also have to take a stand saying, okay, like if the system is corrupt, then you got to make a stand similar to what goes on with the similar to what that guy's shirt said in with Danielle Smith. Be like, good people don't obey unjust law or bad laws. And like you need to take a stand like that. And that was the start of the massive separation between Trump and DeSantis, because a lot of people said, "Oh, like if they're coming after Trump, then really they're just coming after me." And DeSantis is not taking as hardline a position against the establishment as Trump, and so I'm going to support Trump. And in the primaries, like if we actually look at the separation, so primary support for Donald Trump skyrocketed after his indictment.
That's right.
General support for Donald Trump plummeted after his indictment. And so looking at these analyses and like looking at these reports from the media, like I've said this for quite some time. I think the outcome is going to be that if Trump does not get arrested and goes to jail, which it's possible, don't get me wrong, it's totally possible. We've seen the corruption of the DOJ. And, of course, like, there is legitimate things that Trump did wrong, not on the charges that he's being accused of or indicted on, but if they brought new indictments, it's a clear-cut case of what he did with the classified documents, and that would be a serious federal offense. Now, we've spoken plenty about the fact that this is a political persecution, that they should be doing the same thing that with Hillary and Biden. Are you talking for console talking name one thing that Trump did wrong? Because if we're talking about name one thing that Trump did wrong, like he literally said that he bragged to a reporter that.
Are we talking about like one thing he did wrong in his presidency, or
no? We're talking specifically about the classified document stuff, and we understand that the indictments are not about what the videos are regarding,
right?
But all they have to do is switch indictments, and they got him. Like this is, I find that's the dumbest argument from Tim Pool and other people who are like rah Trump, because all they need to do is bring new indictments, and that is the easiest slam dunk conviction ever.
Yeah, but the like I talked about last week, Robert Barnes talked about the idea of the Trump indictment and the Trump indictment and all that kind of stuff, and he basically said like what people don't understand is that most of these things, even the indictment, even the federal indictment from the DOJ and all that, it's not going to be it's not going to be done quickly. It's definitely not going to be done before the next election. So the goal is not to throw him in jail. The goal is to basically bleed him financially and to basically tie him up so that he can't campaign effectively. That's really the goal.
Well, so, it's entirely like there's two prongs to the indictment. They know that the indictment will give him more support in the Republican primary, and they know that the indictment will take away his support in the general. So they know that it'll drag him through the mud during his Republican primary, but it'll only get kind of the diehard maggots will continue to support him no matter what. And then you have the people in the general. It's like, well, like this guy is going to be campaigning while a criminal trial is happening against him, potentially partially campaigning from a jail cell. And
he's not going to be from a jail cell.
It could be though. It could be.
Because you have to remember, like this stuff takes to get to a conviction.
It entirely depends on the judge, though.
I mean, it can, but
like we're talking about some of these trials are being in New York, so.
Yeah, well, he said the Florida one seems like it has more weight. The New York one seems entirely very difficult for that one to stick or to be able to pull off. But like, ultimately, the main thing is it possible that he's going to being in a jail cell by the time the election happens. I could be wrong, but I mean, like, I
Unlikely
remember
to be happening that fast. It's true.
that fast. That's a very fast thing for him to be in jail that quickly. A lot of criminal trials, particularly for major, like, things like this, take a very long time. And the idea that Trump would basically be in jail that quickly would be very surprising. Because what is it, 2024? That's like a year from now, isn't it? Like in the fall, right? Yeah, it's like a year and a half. Like less than a year and a half. Actually, that's like a year and like maybe 3 months. I think the October election. So you basically have to have him in jail by October. I don't think that's happening. So
Very unlikely.
ultimately, there's two goals in the indictment. One is to basically hurt him financially, and make it so that he can't campaign. And then two is obviously that the smear campaign, right? It's the same thing as the stupid impeachments. The impeachments were never legit, but they did them anyway because they wanted to sound like, oh, we've impeached him. Oh, he's impeached. And like they wanted to kind of like make it sound like, he's a criminal without actually proving that he's a criminal. Like they were totally political. But yeah, the big thing is, and by the way, let's before we move on from the story, bring on to the last story, the one from Human Events. Because I want to point out that this is basically a trend with the DeSantis campaign. And this is a real problem. And this shows how like people keep trying to argue that DeSantis, it's not DeSantis, it's his team. And I'm like, no, there's a major problem going on with DeSantis that is getting really bad. Okay, so here's from Human Events, and I just listened to a podcast talking about this. So Raheem Kassam says DeSantis unable to attend Turning Point action because his campaign needs a turning point. He'll be meeting with donors in the Hamptons. Okay, so basically, like Jack Posobiec and Raheem Kassam of the National Pulse discussed why Florida governor and the candidate for president, Ron DeSantis, decided to forego attending the Turning Point event in West Palm Beach. Posobiec posed the question, what's your take? Why not show up at a conservative event with young activists? What effect, if any, does this have on the race? What message does this send? So basically what people have been saying is that this is a very big deal. This is not just like any other event. This is a big deal because, for one, Stephen, that there's a couple of major events happening. There's Tucker's going to have I think it's going to an open forum with a lot of the candidates, and then I think there's supposed to be some kind of a Republican debate or whatever. But Trump isn't going to be a part of the Republican debate. I'm not sure if he's going to be part of Tucker's thing. But the one thing he is going to do for sure, he's going to be at this event. And you know who else is going to be at this event? Vivek Ramaswamy, who a lot of people are now projecting is going to be second place.
He could be
because the guy's brilliant. He talks a very good game.
Yeah, he's good.
He's very charismatic. He has great answers to all the things, and he doesn't back down from like legitimate like criticism or opposition.
Except he's afraid to criticize Trump.
Everybody
is. Everybody with DeSantis is.
Sure. But the problem is that DeSantis is not actually, he's not actually showing up. Like, his team is doing all the talking. Like, you don't see DeSantis actually out there campaigning. He's not really
very
campaigning.
little.
Like, he's not campaigning to the point that he needs to be.
Yes.
And the problem is, it's almost like it's kind of his race to win or lose, and he's losing it. And at this point, people have said like there's like maybe 3 months until the first of the major primary like things and all that. And it doesn't look like DeSantis has a lot of chance to get there.
No.
Now, I'll ask you this. One major criticism people will say like, oh, like the missteps, that's his team. That's not DeSantis. And I'll say this. When Twitter, when they had that whole thing at the beginning of the
campaign.
Okay. Twitter tried to block What Is a Woman, and they tried to block Daily Wire.
Yeah.
Everyone was criticizing like Elon. Oh, Elon. Oh,
yeah.
What the heck? As soon as that happened, like within like a day or two, Elon was already on his way back.
Yeah.
And he fired the person responsible, and he completely overturned the decision, and he even promoted it. Okay. What's the difference between that and DeSantis is that he was like, Elon was being criticized unfairly for something his company was doing, but Elon took the bold
Took
step.
the lead, and he actually corrected it.
He addressed it.
Yeah.
Whereas
And DeSantis is kind of taking it backstage, and he'll be like, "Oh well, my team can just handle this."
Yeah, he's not even trying to address it. He's not apologizing. He's not even these are not even difficult things to or fires to put out.
Yeah.
Like, for example, when he did the fake AI images, all he had to do was come out and say yeah, that was a mistake. We're gonna avoid that. Done.
Yeah.
Everyone will be like, hey, that's great. Good job. Way to show leadership.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, he hasn't done that. He's just avoided it, and people are just left to speculate as to what the heck he's up to.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's not showing up to this conference has a lot of people in the conservative movement legitimately they're wondering what the heck is going on with DeSantis.
Yeah.
To the point where some people are even speculating, is he doing this on purpose? Does he actually not want to run, but he's in so deep that is he trying to basically tank his own campaign as a way of saving face, rather than just saying oh, I don't want to run. Some people have speculated that maybe that's what's going on. I don't know how, it's obviously a big speculation, but it almost would make sense, because you'd have to be almost very naive to believe that this is actually an effective strategy that they're doing. So.
Yeah, no, things have not been exceptionally effective for the DeSantis campaign. The strategies which they've pulled have definitely not had the results that they were looking for.
Yeah.
Yes, DeSantis has made some fairly, in terms of how he's running Florida, has just been it's been great.
Yeah.
But problem is that he's not winning Florida because the people in Florida don't want to lose.
Yeah, a lot of people have speculated that.
And so a lot of people in Florida don't want him to leave until his term as governor is up. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of people around the country, a lot of other Republicans, want kind of Trump to get his comeuppance. And I think it's going to be interesting because, at this point, with the way that things are going, yes, Biden is in the dumps as far as support.
Yeah.
But I don't see people changing I don't see that many people changing their votes from how they voted in 2020. And we still haven't addressed the kind of voter security issues which we had in 2020.
Which a lot of people are
speculating will just be repeated. And then we're going to have... However what?
However, we have to remember, too, that there are going to be things that were present in 2020 that are not going to be present in 2024.
Yes.
For primarily a lot of the major a lot of the major things that helped them, like the social distancing stuff was still going on.
Mail-in voting is a big one that definitely helped
all
them.
that kind of stuff. However, here's the thing: why was Trump able to come in so easily and take out Hillary? Part of the reason is because nobody expected it. So nobody was expecting that Trump was going to get in there, so they didn't have time to mobilize. By 2020, the Democratic, groups and PACs and all that kind of stuff, they had 4 years to prepare, and they basically had a strategy of how they were going to basically do everything that in their power to try to guarantee a Democrat win. The same thing happens here, because even though they got their candidate in, they know that Trump is going to go back. And so remember, once again, they've had 4 years to prepare, to plan, and they're just going to find new ways of trying to manipulate the results in some way. Okay, so we saw that they're not only willing but still able to mess with the voting process, like they did in Arizona. Arizona was like a cautionary tale, because it shows that they're still willing and able to basically pull some shenanigans.
Yep.
Okay, so
do it in broad daylight. Yep.
Now, one major thing that you should consider is the one candidate that I think can completely throw a giant monkey wrench in the entire election. Do you know who that is?
Oh, I know who you're gonna say, and I know that it's not gonna do anything.
No, I think it will. Well, who do you think it is?
You're gonna say that the one who's gonna throw the giant monkey wrench into the election is gonna be RFK.
Yeah. Do you know why?
Well, because he's gonna pull people away from Joe Biden,
Yeah, he's going to be the spoiler.
but they're never gonna let him win.
No, but here, no. He's not. He's not going to win the Democratic nomination, but he can round as the third party candidate. He can have the Ross Perot effect.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if that's the case, that's the third party guy. He could completely do that. And a lot of people are trying to suggest, what if let's imagine if Donald Trump wins. Imagine if he goes and gets Robert RFK as his vice president, which a lot of people are saying that would be insane, but it's amazing. It'd be amazing to see what they pull off.
Yeah. Well, if Trump had RFK as his vice president, oh man,
can you imagine?
I can imagine. I just imagine how ridiculous that campaign will be.
Yeah.
And it's just our job will not be boring.
No, not at all. It'd be insane.
It'd be absolutely insane. But
yeah.
the problem that I've had with Trump, yes, nobody, I'm certainly not going to deny he did a good job as president. I was thoroughly supporting him in 2020. But Trump has definitely shown something in the in-between years. Trump has shown that he doesn't have policies. He has allegiances.
Oh, but he does have he's about results. Okay?
Yes.
So Trump, when it came to China, he was decisive. He said nope, we're not going to play ball. We're going to do tariffs. Okay? When it came to the free trade agreement, he's nope, we're gonna do this right, and we're gonna redo this. When it came to NATO, he's nope, you guys got to pay the amount that you're supposed to, right? When it came to the economy, he was nope, we're gonna basically dig our own oil and basically become energy independent. When it came to what was it called? When he found out about the the DEI training, the racial sensitivity training that was happening in all government agencies, he basically said nope, we're stopping that. That's not going to happen anymore. He's a results guy. He knows what needs to happen and he does it. That's why I like him, because whenever you see those things, you're yeah, he if it's in his power to do something, he'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
He'll take it on. Ron DeSantis, one thing you have to remember is that yes, he has a good track record, but all he did was sign off on policies and legislation that that Florida legislature did.
Mm-hmm.
So if he has to compete in combat with Congress, if if Republicans don't get the House, if they don't get the Senate, how good of a leader is he going to be? Who knows, right?
Mm-hmm.
Trump is effective because he doesn't put up with anything, because he doesn't he does not wait for people to approve. He'll just do it.
Yeah, he'll just do it. But
hence the fact that he took
he's done fine. His foreign policy, as long as he sticks to his guns on foreign policy and the economy, he's doing great.
And the economic policy, he was great.
Yeah, foreign
and
policy and the
social policy.
Well, but social policy, he's totally fallen by the wayside.
Well, no, yes and no, but because the social policy, he's the one to put in the conservative judges.
Yes, and that's that is his legacy, and now he's going against his own legacy.
Okay,
because Trump is now, he's by far the most pro-LGBT Republican presidential candidate in American history.
Yes, but you have to ask yourself why that is. Is he doing it because that's actually what he's actually going to do, or is he doing it because he's trying to use a strategy to win an election?
Right now he's more pro-LGBTQ because Ron DeSantis is taking a strong stance against it.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
Right now, his policy decisions, Trump's policy on social policy, is being dictated by Ron DeSantis.
Sure.
It's
And
not
that's the
being.
strategy.
It's not being. Well, it's a strategy, but it's just saying that Trump is not in any way like a conservative Republican.
Well,
Trump values his policy decisions based on who he likes at that specific moment. And that's one of the biggest things I have against Trump is that Trump, he's guided. Like he's not a facts guide my decisions guy.
sure.
He's my ego and my emotions and where I will go is entirely dictated by who likes me at that specific moment. That's a terrifying thing to lead.
I think that's too big of an assumption to make. Like, okay, so when there was tensions with Iran and Iranian forces were targeting and attacking boats in the Strait of wherever that is by Yemen.
Yeah.
There was like basically the generals were trying to orchestrate a strike on Iran that would actually potentially launch a war.
Mm-hmm.
And when Trump saw that, this is based on a reporting I heard. When Trump saw like the amount of casualties, and particularly non-military, like civilian casualties that would be affected, he basically said like, no, we're not doing that. Straight up, he just basically overruled the generals.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see Trump as this is the fallacy of the the nuclear button. Remember they were saying that before the 2016 election. Oh, you don't want this lunatic in charge of the nuclear button. I'm like, he's not a lunatic. Like, yes, he's bombastic. Yes, he talks big and all that kind of stuff. But he's no idiot.
No.
And he doesn't maybe he's not like as polished and as much of a politician as a lot of other people like who've been in politics forever. He never was a politician. He was always a businessman, and he was always a celebrity. Now,
yes.
that means that when he gets in, the fact that he makes mistakes, I'm not shocked that he makes mistakes. I'm not.
No.
He's not a politician. Justin Trudeau, for example, he has made a ridiculous amount of mistakes in his tenure. But you can tell he's gotten better at hiding them and at avoiding the easy mistakes. Why? Because he learned how to play the game.
Yes.
But that takes time. Trump basically learned to play the game within like a year or two.
Yes.
He had to. You have to learn how to do that. And of course you're going into something where you're completely you have skills that are going to help you, but you don't realize how many ways that they can basically bind your hands essentially. Right? He wanted to fire Fauci, but he was worried that it was going to be more downside than upside. That was a mistake that he made at the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, so I don't know. I think I'm a little hesitant to basically to agree the idea that Trump is just he just does whatever other people want him to do. I'm like,
not what necessarily what other people want him to do. Yeah. But if someone strokes basically if you want to get something from Trump, then you'll stroke his ego.
Okay.
And he'll do it.
Well, because he's what do you call it? He's a type A personality. And that works for type A personalities generally. Mm-hmm. Like they have to be very assertive and very have big personalities. I'm not saying it's a great thing, but I'm saying any person who has an enormous amount of power and all sorts of influence, they're just naturally going to develop an ego, right? However, Trump is this weird anomaly where he is incredibly incredibly strong and brutal to his enemies, but he's also incredibly amazing to regular people. Like the countless videos I've seen of how Trump goes out of his way to really help and to really treat people well. It's that always amazes me. Like the story of he bought he bought some guy his house. He basically paid his mortgage because the guy helped him in some way or all that.
Yeah.
And he basically paid his mortgage straight up. I'm like, I don't care. Did he do it for the publicity? Who knows? But I don't care. That's still a good thing. The guy is generally, he's not the devil that people portray him as. Yeah, I don't know. I do think I think he's kind of like Alex Jones, where people who don't know him very well or who just listen to the media, think Alex Jones is a monster. But when you actually like hear Alex Jones speak and speak openly, you're like, this guy's actually a really decent guy.
Mhm.
Like he's legitimately a decent guy who tries to live a life with integrity. Doesn't do it great, but he tries. So I don't know. I'm still a big fan of Trump. Is he perfect? Is he like going to be mistake free? No, but I think he's the best guy for the job. I really do think so. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we will see. We will see indeed.
Okay.
We could go on and on for this, but we're going to move on right now to the news you may have missed. To talk about the news that you may have missed.
Repetitive.
Yes, repetitive
You're
indeed.
You're so Jewish. Well, you don't get that reference, do you?
No, I don't.
In Jewish literature, but for anybody who doesn't know, if you ever read Jewish literature from the Psalms to Proverbs to a whole bunch of other poetic literature in the Bible, the Jewish literature has a tendency to repeat the same thing but just in a different way. Like they'll say one thing and they'll say the exact same thing, but using different terms.
I see.
It's very common in Jewish literature. So
okay, so Spanish leader goes viral after pulling a butt gig with fake bike ride. So Spanish leader Teresa Rivera.
Butt gig.
Yep, I call him butt gig.
Butt gig.
Butt gig. Went viral after she pulled a fake bike ride to a climate conference held by the European Union, a move reminiscent of the U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg's 2021 bike stunt. Video surfaced on social media Tuesday from the EU 2023 conference held in Madrid that showed Rivera riding a bike to the conference. However, now Rivera is facing a backlash after it was revealed as nothing but reportedly a PR stunt. According to information provided by the outlet, Rivera reportedly took a private jet and chauffeured car to the conference, which is supposedly focused on dealing with the effects of carbon dioxide, before getting out of the vehicle around 328 feet from the feet from the event and riding a bike the remaining distance to the venue.
Oh, let's watch.
Let's see. So this is the footage of her riding a bike to the event.
You notice those guys in the suits behind her?
Yeah.
And her security detail riding behind.
Is there a video of her getting out of the bike?
I don't know.
There it is.
Oh, there it is.
Oh no, this is Pete Buttigieg. So them getting the bike out of the armored car so that he can hop onto it.
Of course, and riding a suit.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but anybody who's ridden a bike, you know that riding a suit on a bike is not a good idea.
It's a brutal idea.
It's like you sweat and you get all sorts of stuff
It's
on
terrible.
you. And
But it's all about pushing the image. The image of climate virtue signaling.
Do you notice that like it's almost always, I would say almost like 99% of these like fake stunts are almost entirely like done from the left. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Alexandra
Ocasio-Cortez.
When she went to the border, she was like crying in her white pants.
Crying the parking lot.
It was like an empty parking lot. She was like, it was just posing for the crowd. Or when she got arrested, but she actually had her hands behind her back.
Yeah.
She wasn't actually
and then she like brought them. She like took them out, and then she's like, "Oh wait, I have to pretend."
Whoopsie. Or you have Gavin, that fancy restaurant.
Yeah.
Didn't care. Like this always happens in the left. Like they're basically, they have no problem lying and making false. Even like here in Calgary, in Canada, in our city, our mayor, our illustrious like mayor, the Wicked Witch of the West here, she basically like did a photo op where she rode the C train.
Mm-hmm.
But what they didn't tell you is that she had a massive like.
They basically like cleared out the C train before she hopped on.
And they had like security detail and all that kind of stuff just to get a picture of her
riding
like,
the C train.
Riding the C train and all that. And people are like,
no.
What
The left is filled with fakers and hacks, and they will always try and kind of push the idea that they are the ones who are doing the good and virtuous and noble thing. Like even going back one last example. Greta Thunberg, when she took the sailboat across of the blessed sailboat, when she sailed across the ocean, but she did so by flying professional sailors across the world to come get her, sail her over to North America, and then they all flew back.
Wow, what a...
And it's like, oh yes, this is all to prevent one person from getting one plane ticket.
So beautiful, so brave. My gosh.
Yep.
The amount of virtue signaling just makes me sick.
Yes, makes you
Okay,
sick.
well, speaking of virtue signaling, let's talk about the mayor of London. So, from Summit News, Mayor Sadiq Khan. Khan! I want to scream that every time I think of this guy.
Oh, yeah.
We can't arrest our way out of London's crime problem. Oh, is that so? So London Mayor Sadiq Khan on Monday claimed for the umpteenth time that cities cannot solve their crime problems through mass arrests. That is so absurd. It like literally makes my head hurt. Even though that has been proven to be false by El Salvadorian President Nayib Bukele. Oh my gosh. There's no place for crime in London, Khan said on Twitter. But we can't arrest ourselves out of the That doesn't even make any sense. It's like, if you don't arrest people, then you've basically
you're basically just opening the door to crime.
You can't have crime here. What are you going to do about it? We're going to let it happen. Ain't nothing going to change. From removing knives from our streets to providing young London with meaningful and engaging activities, I'm committed to being I'm committed to being tough on crime. I can't read this. This guy is so stupid. My gosh. And his complex causes. Oh, so bad. Basically, the mayor of London lives in like a whimsical, magical, like fairy godmother land, where like you solve crime by just ignoring it, by just painting over it with pretty colors, and by saying, "Well, it's complicated. We can't. What are we gonna do about it?" Unbelievable! Like what the kind of like crap that these guys pull up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So any wonder why London's like crime problems are up? Blame that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
yep.
take it
But
away.
speaking of place that is trying to make at least some difference, Texas School Board requires birth certificate before auditioning for boys and girls choirs.
No.
So, a Texas school district recently approved a rule requiring students to provide a birth certificate before auditioning for the Texas Boys Choir or Singing Girls of Texas to ensure that they are trying out for a group that correctly aligns with their biological sex. The Fort Worth Academy of Fine Arts School Board in Tarrant County recently voted twice, once for each choir, in favor of updating handbook guidelines to specify separating the choirs by biological sex. The move, which came after 3 hours of public comments, reportedly drew pushback from parents, alumni, and students. Members of multiple conservative nonprofit organizations attending the meeting to support the new rule. We're simply standing for common sense. Boys should not be allowed to sing in the girls' choir, and girls should not be allowed to sing in the boys' choir, remarked Kenya Ayub Alu, the executive director of Citizens Defending Freedom, Tarrant County. It's absurd that we even have to have this debate, but as long as the liberal activists keep pushing their agenda, we will keep fighting back. This reminds me distinctly of a story from, I believe it was about a month ago, from Kelowna.
Okay.
And the media tried to paint this guy as this horrific individual because there was this sporting event for like preteens. And this one younger girl was just smoking the other kids. And then this guy, and he's like, this seems like a bit of a tilted competition. Like, are we even sure that this girl is a girl? Like, maybe we should be checking birth certificates. And, like, there was this giant uproar, and, like, the news media were claiming that, like, oh, he wanted to check this little girl's genitals, and this girl was, like, scarred for life. And I'm like, you know what? And I'm like, yeah, it was weird for him to call it out in the middle of the event. That's weird, especially, like, according to the reporting, he was, like, doing so accosting the little girl. I'm like, yeah, that's not the appropriate way of doing it.
To be fair, I'm guessing he didn't find out until it happened.
Yeah.
I would not be shocked. A lot of people get that reaction because you're not told until the time being that, like, this is happening.
Well, no, but, like, it was a little girl. It wasn't, like... But anyways, and so the media was trying to paint him off as this horrific person.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, no. What he did is a symptom of the problem. The disease is that boys are allowed in girl sports anyways. And this, of course, angered a massive mob on Twitter, saying that I was, you just want to look at kids' genitals. And I'm like, are you insane?
Yeah, they are insane.
And I'm like, well, yeah, it is part of a cult. I'm like, you guys are a cult because you want little girls or little boys to compete in little girls' sports, and you are okay with grown men going into the change rooms with little girls. And they're like, that's not what we're talking about. And I'm like, don't you see that that's inevitably what's going to happen when you let people go into the sports team, was when you let people go into the change rooms, when you let people go into the bathrooms that they choose to go into without any actual evidence to align themselves with going into those bathrooms or those change rooms or those areas. Yeah. You are going to create a predatory situation. And yes, like having someone provide a birth certificate to prove that they are a boy, prove that they are a girl. It's shameful that our society has moved to such a degree. Mm-hmm. But this is unfortunately becoming a necessary part of assuring everybody, not just parents, but it assures competitors that everybody competing is coming from at least an equal playing field.
Yeah.
You don't have an unfair, unnatural advantage from having all of the advantages, and there is a ton of advantages from being a boy in girls sports.
Yeah, not really not really too different from like getting a scholarship. If you're getting a scholarship for being like, I don't know, Indian Canadian, and you apply for that and you win it, they're probably going to ask you for some kind of a genealogy test to prove that you are like, actually like, Métis or whatever, like thing you are or something like that. They're not going to be like, oh, well, you said I guess he's got to be, The thing is, like, what they did to that dad is a struggle session.
Yeah.
It's nope, not cancel culture, not consequence, and none of that crap. It's a struggle session. They basically want to accuse him of crimes that he didn't commit, and the only acceptable answer for them is you have to apologize and admit to your crimes. It's like, nope, don't ever do it. Don't ever do it.
Yeah. Well, there's actually just a small little tidbit. Just on top of that, there has been a great response in the past 2 responses to a lot of this like racial stuff.
Okay.
Like there was this one individual, I don't know exactly who it was, but he was basically like, well, white nationalist doesn't by its very nature of like those 2 words mean racist by definition.
I thought it did, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, but like white nationalist, like if we look at it by equating white nationalists to Nazis, then yes, it does become racist. But if you say, it's like, well, if they are a white nationalist individual, a nationalist that is white is not by very nature racist.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's like, well, like if you're equating it with the Nazis, then yeah, of course it's racist. Racism is bad. And they're like, why are you trying to like destigmatize white nationalism? And he's like, I'm not. Next question. Yeah. And they're like, no, you need to answer. And he's like, I'm not. Racism is bad. Next question. And I'm like, there you go. That's how you respond to these lunatics.
Yeah, because it's an absurd accusation. So
well, it's very similar to what Michael Knowles and Chris Hahn and that former American Idol. I think it was like the runner-up. He's like a very effeminate guy.
Yeah, but what's the point you're trying to make?
Well, he was a moderator, and they were talking about like Trump, and Trump saying very fine people.
Oh, right.
And Michael Knowles was like, yes, Nazism is bad, and he's like, He's like, was Trump wrong when he said that there were very fine people on both sides? And he's like, well, he wasn't talking about that. And he's like, are Nazis very fine people, Michael? And he's like, he wasn't talking about them. Are Nazis very fine people? And he's like, you're answering a question which I've already given you you didn't give me an answer. It's like, no, you're just demanding an answer.
Yeah.
It's like, of course, Nazis are not very fine people, but that's not who he was talking about. Well, let's move on to the next one.
Yeah. All right, so this is from Zero Hedge. Hollywood grinds to a halt as actors and writers go on strike together for first time in 6 decades. So the writer's strike has been going on for a while, and I've been watching a lot of YouTube channels that have been talking about the possibility that this would happen. So I guess we're here. The actors and the writers are on strike together, so that's going to make a big impact. So actors and writers in Hollywood have staged the first joint walkout in 6 decades, saving the country, if not the world, from the production of crappy woke entertainment, at least for now. Talk about the old-time backfire. The Screen Actors Guild, which represents approximately 160,000 performers, announced the strike on Thursday after failing to reach a new labor agreement with Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, which represents studios including Walt Disney Company, Netflix Inc., Bloomberg reports. According to the studios, double-digit performance increases in salaries and higher pension and health benefits, plus a boost in residuals, weren't enough. Also offered were protections against the use of actors' digital likenesses. A key dispute which remains unresolved is compensation from streaming services, as online video entertainment cannibalizes broadcast and cable TV. I cannot believe how far apart we are in so many things, said this friend Drescher. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. The entire business model has been changed by streaming. This is a moment of history. This is a moment of truth. The move has halted work on shows such as Abbott Elementary. No, not Stranger Things. No. I actually like that show.
Jeremy Clarkson. Oh no. Anyway,
moving on.
Jeremy. Oh man.
So
I love Jeremy Clarkson.
He's kind of like what do you call it? Like Norm Macdonald.
Yeah.
They're just epic comedians. Like that. So yeah. So it's looking like if this drags on, it's going to affect movies. It's going to affect TV shows. It's going to affect a lot of things. So get ready. Hollywood is basically saying it's like the ugly wife trope. Oh, I'm withholding sex. Oh no, stop.
Yeah.
Oh, dang it. Nuts. No.
The last time they staged a walkout was led by Ronald Reagan.
Really?
Yep.
Dang, that's like a long time ago.
It was in 1960.
Yeah, back when he was an actor.
Yeah.
That was the big thing. So yeah, a lot of elitist crybabies and entitled brats are joining a whole bunch of other elitist entitled brats and saying we don't get enough of our entitlement. So, anyways, hard to feel sorry for these people, but we'll see. Take it away, Steven. Next.
Well,
story.
no, I'm just trying to do the math.
You
So
do the math?
2.1 billion divided by 100 days.
I don't know where you're getting this from.
Oh, the math at the bottom.
Very end. Last time,
So
writers and actors walked out. In 2007, writers alone walked out for 100 days, which cost the
Oh, that was in
California
2007. Oh, okay, never
an
mind.
estimated 2.1 billion in lost output.
Okay, I thought it was 100 days in 19. I didn't read the 2007 bit. I thought it was in 1960. It lasted for 100 days, which cost 2.1 billion, and I'm like, what?
Yeah,
That's a lot bigger.
Yeah,
But in 2007, saying that if it was to last 100 days with 30 million a day, then it would cost 3 billion. So.
Yep, it's long. So Hollywood's in a tailspin right now. They're dying.
Yeah.
Hard. We'll
So-
see what happens.
All right, last two stories. Biden orders 3,000 reservists to be ready for Europe deployments.
This one's for Jeremy because
Yep.
they were commenting on this long before it happened.
So, Joe Biden has authorized the military to call up 3,000 reserve troops and support operations in Europe after tens of thousands were sent there last year. Though it's not clear whether Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin plans to actually deploy these reservists, the move suggests the U.S. military's training mission in Europe, along with the deployment of several new brigades, has stretched active duty forces. This reaffirms the unwavering supports and commitments to the defense of NATO's eastern flank in the wake of Russia's illegal and unprovoked war on Ukraine. While the move gives European command greater flexibility to defend the continent, it does not change the actual force levels.
Hold on, can you actually say is there such a thing as a?
As a what?
It says in the wake of Russia's illegal.
Yeah.
Can you actually have a legal war? Is there a way to have a war? I thought
I got no
war
clue.
by nature is a violation of all sorts of things, and it's an illegal war. It's well, all wars are illegal, dummy. I'm not sure if you actually have a legal war. I don't know. It seems dumb, but anyways,
It is dumb.
It's political after all.
So, President's order also for the first time designates Operation Atlantic Resolve as a contingency operation, which allows the Pentagon to call up reserve forces and implement sped-up acquisition authorities to supply these troops. So, this is just kind of pushing the ball, upping the ante. And like Biden did say that he did not wish for the Ukraine to join NATO.
Liar.
But he's also kind of pushing. He's kind of one side of his mouth is saying Ukraine shouldn't join NATO, and the other side is like, well, maybe we should. And then Zelensky, of course, is trying to say it's like, well, you're tying my hands. Like, I can't join NATO until the war with Russia is over. And if you don't let us join NATO, then Russia will annihilate us. And it's like, well, no, there's a way out. It's called just surrender the territory, and then the rest of you join NATO.
Yep. By the way, here's some of the numbers that they're listing. The U.S. rushed 20,000 more troops to Europe after Russia's invasion, bringing the total number of troops to 100,000 on the continent. That includes new rotations of 10,000 troops in Poland, which is a critical hub for supplying and supporting Ukraine. And apparently, at the NATO summit that happened this week, the allies, or NATO allies, pledged to have 300,000 troops ready for rapid deployment within 30 days or less. That's
Yep.
I mean, I don't know. Sounds like they're getting ready for something.
Yeah.
Who knows? Biden also, after condemning the use of cluster bombs by Russia, is also sending
cluster bombs. Yep.
Like, oh.
Yeah, it's just all ridiculous.
I get it. You're full of crap.
You are full of crap. Another person who's full of crap is, because we do have to move on because we're already we're already at nearly 150, so we do have to keep going. So we've talked about the Russia-Ukraine war a lot. If escalations continue, then we'll talk about it in greater detail.
When World War III comes, we'll talk.
Yeah, we'll talk about it when World War III comes up and they try and select a draft, and I can tell them to go screw themselves.
That's right.
Because I'm not fighting for corrupt people.
From Fox News, CNN apologizes. BTQ activists rage at network for misgendering Dylan Mulvaney. Of course, this is like the ultimate struggle session.
It's like the one thing they've apologized for. It's like, oh, we don't apologize for getting things wrong. We don't apologize for lying. We don't apologize for slandering. But misgendering Dylan Mulvaney?
Don't you realize that they have a very high ESG score? They want to keep that.
They do want to keep that, even though it's meaningless to the average layperson.
Maybe you can play that video.
Sure.
Before we wrap up today, we do want to make an important note. Yesterday, in a segment about transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney, who was featured in Bud Light's recent campaign, she was mistakenly referred to by the wrong pronoun. And CNN aims to honor individuals' ways of identifying themselves, and we apologize for that error.
Oh, CNN. My goodness. We'll talk about interviews. The young misgendered Mulvaney twice. At one bar, he was telling them not to serve Bud Light because they don't like the way Dylan Mulvaney is treated. He, of course, is the transgender person that we're going to sponsor. And
I think this is the where he misgenders.
Oh, is that the one?
From the Bud Light boycott, sales dropped by more than 28% over the last 4 weeks. It follows a backlash after the brand partner won't quit. What now?
Yeah, we are talking a lot these days, it seems like, about culture wars. I mean, just that last conversation you and Sarah were having kind of dovetails all into this because everyone seems to be taking sides over everything. And it really got to a point where we went out to the street to talk to people just to get their ideas about how much confusion and how much anger has been caused by this Bud Light controversy. Just listen to the people on the street who were sort of upset that this has gotten taken so far out of hand.
And all of them,
it's quite simple. People just don't want it shoved down their throat.
No Bud Light, because it's like, I have grandchildren. We don't need to put that in the young kids' heads.
We had one guy who said, I refuse to drink that anymore. One guy. And everybody else in the bar kind of rolled their eyes at him.
Yeah, America's really split on a lot of topics, whether it comes to voting, but this Bud Light really seems to send a chasm right down the middle in terms of talking to folks. We went to Nashville. We even talked to a bar in Chicago. One bar that was telling us basically they're not going to serve it because they don't like the way Dylan Mulvaney was treated after this whole controversy started. He, of course, is the transgender person they were going to
clip. It might not be
sponsor and go along with Bud Light. They didn't like how Bud Light didn't stand by him after all.
That's what they're apologizing for. It's the he and him.
The ultimate crime.
Oh no.
Oh no, he basically made him invisible. Apparently, I don't know if you know this, Steven. Trans people are basically like fairies. You know, like if you say you don't believe in fairies, a fairy dies.
Yes.
And apparently,
if only that were true.
If you say you don't believe in transgender people or you don't use their pronouns, they literally like start to like melt and like disappear. They vanish from existence. Apparently, that's how it works. It's quite crazy. So yeah. I mean, give me a break. This is like such a nonsensical thing that they're doing. Anyways, are we done with the stories?
Yes, we are.
All right, let's bring it to the last part.
Let's do the weekly exposure.
And the weekly highlight.
But we start with the weekly exposure. Enough already! Maybelline roasted for using bearded crossdresser in lipstick ad. Social media users unleashed their fury when Maybelline posted a video Wednesday of a man using the makeup company's lipstick. Of course, we have Amazon Prime Day deals at Ryan Vita Beauty. Check out the link in our bio to support our bundles. His makeup review featured the man whose beard appeared to have been bejeweled, putting on the lipstick and telling viewers to check out this color and shine. However, social media users were quick to criticize the makeup company for the advertisement, one person writing, WTF did I just watch? This really isn't helping to promote your products. What the hell are you? Definitely not normal. Shame on these makeup brands that support this nonsense. Why are you using men to advertise this? I can't picture myself wearing any of your lipsticks when all I can see is a whole ass beard and mustache enough already. It's true.
Can you play the video?
Like it's well. This is the Dylan, Dylan Mulvaney.
Above that, like Ollie London, or
the Ollie London was the Dylan.
Wait, where is it?
There's Instagram pictures, but those are the.
Oh, I don't know why it's not playing on yours. It's playing on mine. Weird. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, it's Instagram.
But does it have like sound?
30% off, and my favorite colors are in stock and ready to ship. My Amazon order arrived the next day, and here I am filming a makeup review. And baby, check out this color and shine. It's so comfortable, and it will not budge or smudge for up to 16 hours. Let me know what you think and shop Maybelline Prime deals for 30% off right now.
Ugh. You know, there's a proverb in the Bible, what is it? A woman without discretion is like a gold ring and a pig snout.
Mm-hmm.
Like the idea here is like, okay, so you're trying to basically sell makeup to women who, basically women are the vast majority of your market, and you're trying to sell them makeup by showing a guy with a full beard who's like two things that are not common for women.
Yeah,
are completely uncommon for women. One is being completely bald. Two is having a big, giant, bushy beard. Two things that are not common for women.
Not common at all.
And not only that, but he has like, you see like his nails. He also has like, the hairiest arms in the entire world. Like, yeah, it's like they're basically throwing the middle finger at and being like, hey, you like it, don't you? You like it? Do you like it? You like it? You know, like it's unreal what they're pushing the Overton window so far right now that we're basically being asked to like completely and totally be okay with absurdity. And now here's the thing. It's like the Freedom Tunes video we saw at the beginning. The whole idea of like that they're talking kind of like under their breath. They're not allowed because they know they're not allowed to like criticize something like that. This guy should be receiving mockery, sarcasm, pretty much being like shamed and like, dude, what the heck? And the company should be getting all the backlash and all that. But people are too afraid. However, this is why I think the guy from the weekly highlight is, I think, a very effective example of how we should start responding to this stuff. Because people need to stop catering, and you need to stop trying to be like, oh, I don't want to hurt people's feelings.
Yep.
Like this is
we
downright
take a stance.
And evil.
And
so,
this guy definitely takes a stance, but it's definitely not
Not.
It's
not
definitely
polite.
NSFW.
It's not.
So
polite.
just be
I'll tell you
warned,
that.
it's going to be very profane.
Yes.
So, there it is. There's. So here we go. Enjoy.
I'm literally on fire right now. I just got off the phone with my wife, who
Load, dang it.
7-year-old boys to the doctor today to get physicals for tackle football and school next year and all that other shit. My 9-year-old son went in first, and the first thing this woman asks him is if he identifies as a boy, a girl, gender fluid, or non-binary. My son, he's never heard of any of that shit before. You've been dealing with him your whole life. He is clearly a boy's boy. So what are you, trying to plant a fucking seed in his head? The only thing I could be thankful for is that my wife took them instead of me. And props to my wife because she said something. And if she didn't, they would have asked my 7-year-old son the same damn question. This shit is ridiculous. And to the people out there to think that there's nothing wrong with that and I'm just a transphobe or all that shit, you're fucked up. This is bullshit. And there's something wrong with you.
Amen. Amen.
Yep.
Preach. He's vulgar, obviously, because
Yep.
I'm guessing that's
He's
normal.
angry. He's angry.
But he's angry, and he has every right to do it because people don't realize how insanely dangerous this stuff is. This is not compassionate. This is not kind. This is not loving. This is freaking dangerous. People have no idea the incredibly damaging effects of these kind of this is basically social experimentation on a Dr. Frankenstein level. And it's horrifying. Like the more research you do about what they're doing to children and how they're basically putting them on a fast track. When you find out about the expose from the Daily Wire with Matt Walsh, how his producer called in and they basically have a little checklist, items, and they even coached them on how to get the funding, and basically said they don't care. They'll put anybody on this
Anybody
stuff.
on these things.
And they basically will not scrutinize and all that. This whole trans affirmation pipeline, it's about money. All the people who are all the doctors, all the medical practitioners who are doing it, they're doing it because there's a lot of money involved, and the insurance companies, they're doing it because there's a lot of lucrative benefits that they can get. And I hate to say it, this doctor of this dad is a good example. There's two possible things or motivations that she's got. First motivation is she's a true believer in the ideological transgenderism, and in which point you basically avoid her like the plague. You basically
and you tell everyone else to avoid her like the plague as well.
Avoid her like the plague. Number two motivation is that she's scared and therefore she's a coward.
Yep.
And I will say that it's not just a straight insult. You have to be unwilling to pay the cost or the consequence of not going along with this. People during COVID had to make a choice. Are you going to go along with the lies and with the basically the propaganda and basically you have to do everything that you're told, or are you going to take a stand? And yes, there's a cost to taking a stand. The problem is people are not willing to take that cost.
Mm-hmm.
And
actually learned something today.
What?
So my coworker, my little partner, he's only 19. He worked for one of the businesses that took a stand before they took a stand. He worked for Without Papers.
Wow.
And it was sort of interesting because he's like, yeah, I got laid off because he lost the business.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's really interesting. I didn't know that about you. And there is a consequence to standing up and doing the right thing. There's a consequence to fighting for what you believe in, even if it's against the mantra of the modern mentality. Like you and I, Danny, we know this quite well because we've gone to several rallies. We've gone to movements and events where we've been outnumbered. The first event we went to, we were outnumbered 50-3.
Oh, more. It was
probably more like 75.
Yeah, that's closer probably.
Yeah, but still, like there was 3 of us. It was you, me, and Tate. And they tried to sick the police on us, and they tried to like get us removed from the premises.
And they tried to accuse us of like
accused us of plotting to like doing terrible things.
Yeah.
And that was crazy. And I'm like, guys, like we've been standing here not doing anything. We haven't spoken. We've not disrupted the event. We've just stood here in the corner. And yet, of course, they tried to destroy us. But this is what happens when you stand up for what's right. In our morally depraved culture in which we are moving downwards, we're not moving upwards, we're moving towards a greater state of chaos, a greater state of entropy.
Yeah.
And so if we stand against that degradation into chaos, yes, people are going to mock at us. They're going to laugh at us. Like I've had people this week and they're like, "So you support like a marriage being between a man and a woman and you oppose divorce and you don't want children being adopted into single-parent households or LGBTQ homes." And it's like, well, like, thank goodness that you're outside of the norm. And I'm like, it's because that I'm outside of the norm that our culture is degrading.
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, violent crime is up. Drug abuse is up. Homelessness is up. Suicide is up. Depression is up. Mental illness is up. Teenage pregnancy is up. Like, all of these things that are just symptoms of the degradation and destruction of society, and those who are in the cult of the modern left and those who are in the center and unwilling to take a stand, you are either pushing society and culture over the cliff into our own destruction, or you are watching it happen. And this is unfortunately what's happening with the modern church here in Canada. You are watching the destruction of society and you are saying it's okay.
Yeah. No, they're not even saying it's okay. They're saying, meh.
I don't care. Yeah, that is actually the more appropriate response. They're refusing to even acknowledge the destruction of society. And yes, like, I'm going to call out our former church.
Yeah.
Our former church, Urban Grace, looked at the destruction of society and said it's not the problem of society, it's not the problem of church that we're unwilling to call it out. The issue is that Christians are sinful and that the world isn't the problem. Well, guess what? The sin of everyone is the problem, and that the only way out of that sin is to call people back to repentance and God. And ignoring that there is evil in the world and saying that the gospel is the only hope and we shouldn't call out evil and we shouldn't expose evil is sinful. It is.
Unless they think somebody in the church is like sinful, then
then
they send everything they got after you.
Yeah, then they have to do a whole bunch of other actions.
Yeah, that's right. But it's very like the problem is that we have this like a view of false compassion, right? That's what it is. It's weaponized compassion that is really toxic compassion. Because the example I use, okay, they try to convince you that it's way more compassionate to give them what they want. Give a child who's basically being totally manipulated by the people around him and being told that they're the wrong body, whatever.
Yeah.
And you're told that it's more compassionate to give them exactly what they want, or they'll kill themselves.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
Well, yeah, that's the most prominent statement. Would you rather have a dead daughter or a living son?
Yeah. Here's the way I frame it. Okay, so when people say you have to be the compassionate thing is to give trans kids or supposedly what they want, and I'm like, okay, let me ask you this: if I have a dog, and I'm eating a big fat chocolate bar, okay, and he's like looking at me and he's like, is it compassionate for me to give him that chocolate bar, or is it cruel? Like he'll be happy, he'll eat it, he'll definitely stuff it down.
Yep, problems later in life.
Oh, or potentially might kill him depending the quantity and the amount. Or imagine if I have a cat, and that cat is like I'm like drinking a whole ton of milk,
Mm-hmm.
and he wants some of that milk, and I just give him all the milk he wants.
Yeah.
Like cats are not designed to drink milk. Dogs are not designed to eat chocolate. That can not only like mess them up, but it could also kill them.
Well,
depending on the
or
quantity
even
and all
to bring it back to children.
Mhm.
If we let children eat candy for their meals every day, yes, it'll make them happy,
Mhm.
but it'll cause long-term issues that will shorten their lifespan, and it will negatively affect their lives permanently
If you're
if
a
we
parent that
only
basically-
let them eat desserts and sugar.
If you're a parent that basically takes your kids to McDonald's every single day,
Yep.
I mean, you're like anybody would like looks at you and be like, you're a bad parent.
Yep.
It's like, well, they're happy. Like they get to like go eat.
They get to go to the
they
play
eat, like,
place,
Happy
and they get to
Meals,
have
they go to
yeah.
the Happy Place. They're always smiling and happy. It's like you're basically slowly killing your children.
Yep.
But you know, it's that in that example is bad. So it's amazing. This is why I say that this man's response. Now, I'm not saying be like him exactly, but I think everyone should. Like we literally should not tolerate this. There shouldn't be a conversation. There shouldn't be like this nice, like oh well, maybe they like don't get no. There should be like zero tolerance of this kind of behavior. Any doctor that does this to your child, that basically go like immediately goes and tries to indoctrinate your child, that doctor should be ashamed of themselves.
Yep.
Why? Because look at what they did. They normally gender dysphoria, and I listened to a podcast recently that the person talked about this. A doctor who knows the stuff. She said gender dysphoria used to be insanely rare, so rare that most doctors would be like incredibly lucky if they saw a in their lifetime, much less like ever. Okay, but even if somebody with gender dysphoria came to them, the person would come to them and say, "I'm struggling with this," and then they have to basically be like, "Oh, okay, let's address that." Okay, but nowadays, instead of like saying, "I have a stomach ache," or like I struggle with this, now they're trying to now they're probing. Now they're trying to get them to think and trying to be like, hey, have you thought about the idea that maybe you're a girl in a boy's body? Have you considered that? Maybe you are. Maybe you should go home and reflect and think about it so that you can come back to us and we'll put you on we'll make you a lifelong pharmaceutical patient.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
you're too young to know.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So this dad has the right approach.
Yes, he
He's
does.
obviously
He does.
trash, but I think every father, every parent should have this approach.
Yeah.
And
So-
the only ones that don't are the ones that are not informed about the dangers and hazards of this thing.
Yep. One last interesting little quick 20-second weekly highlight
Oh, okay.
just from tonight, and I've been kind of keeping track of Twitter.
Twitter. Oh, he's
As we've been-
not even paying attention.
Only partially. So tonight, during the live stream, Tim Pool said that he would donate, that he would match donations to the Spear Fund, which is Tim Ballard, the guy who was the individual behind the true story of The Sound of Freedom.
Wow, that's awesome.
And so he brought in $24,000 in super chats in minutes, and he wrote a check for $50,000 tonight. And just this is just kind of a. I'll see if I can speed it up.
Just
This is like 5 minutes of super chats for $24,000.
That is crazy.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
That's
by
great.
the way, they were advertising the movie like crazy.
Yeah.
I will say this.
I will say last thing about the movie. I briefly said that it was available. It was extended here in Canada.
Yep.
So I'm gonna try and find an opportunity to watch it, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's gonna be for a week. So here's a big thing. The big thing is that this movie, apparently the first 15 minutes are insanely like powerful. So when you go to the movie theater, go watch it. You're probably going to be like absolutely like gutted by the first
Lord.
15 minutes. It's supposed to be really really powerful, and the movie itself is like some people are walking out, but not for the reason you think. Some people are walking out because some people went through like what do you call it? They went through
Just like
physical abuse,
just like crazy
in their lives.
emotional responses.
Yes, but here's the thing: even if you think you can't watch it because it's too much, like maybe buy the ticket and then give it to somebody else because you should be supporting this company in any way that you can because they're amazing. They're doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, they're doing a good job
of supporting this. By the way, Steven, can you do me one final little favor? Actually, since you got the Twitter thing, I just want to point this out. I will send you the link on Messenger. Sorry. I think I put it on Discord, but here, I'll send it to you on Messenger. Share. Messenger. Okay, I don't know if you've heard, and they kind of talked about it on the show, on what do you call it, on Timcast as well, because I was like, I saw this, and I was kind of like, I wonder what's going on. There's been reports of some weird, well, let's just say some weird occurrences that have been happening on at some theaters across the United States. So just keep this in mind that there's a lot of like pressure, and it looks like there may be some weird things going on that are trying to like prevent people or keep people from seeing the movie. So
It's gotten worse. Just check out these people's experiences.
Tried going to see Sound of Freedom, and this happened. No one left until they played the movie. They tried to give us free tickets if we left.
There's no one in here. And then it said that they were sold out. This is ridiculous.
Fire alarm goes off and people still watch the movie. They can't stop the truth.
Have you heard anything about the other movie theaters? AC not working?
Like the other houses?
No, well, like around the whole country, different theaters. In this movie only, the AC doesn't work. It's like super sketch.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you should look online. It's like, it's insane.
The thing is probably just, I don't know, I know it's been very popular, so the more people you have in a theater, the more different the
Well, yeah, but we've been going to movie openings our whole life,
so
and it's never happened. Yeah,
yeah.
Super weird.
Here's those four for you guys.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Take that as you will. It is interesting though that there's been videos popping up various places about some weird stuff
happenstances.
Going on. Happenstances, right? This movie is kind of a unique cultural thing going on right now.
Yes.
First of all, it's blowing away expectations. It's people are projecting that it's going to make more money in the second week. The fanfare. And you're seeing theaters that are basically trying to run interference, possibly. So, yeah, altogether, there's this is more than a movie. I think it's like almost like because Hollywood has some very shady dark corners, and you should really make you wonder why would you see this kind of stuff? Why would you see so many publications posting totally, totally garbage?
Absolutely garbage things.
So, anyways, go watch the movie. I definitely recommend it. I'm gonna go watch it maybe tomorrow. I'm gonna see.
Yeah. I wish that I wish that the kids were being babysat tomorrow, because then I would have tried to get a few people to go and see it with me, but no dice. Nobody's watching the kids, so can't take the kids to that movie. So anyways, that's where we're going to end the show for today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you're following us on our video platforms, such as BitChute and Rumble, and we'll probably upload segments of this episode onto YouTube, so you can check out our other content there. And you can always check out everything we have on theshrewddudes.com. And if you want to check out our text platforms, you can check us out at Facebook, Gitter, and Twitter. And Twitter is, of course, where we're most active, and I usually get in lots of debates and lots of trolling. It's lots of fun. So, you can check us out. But until then, Danny, sign us out.
Hey, we are the Shrewd Dudes, and as always, we'd like to be rude when you can be shrewd instead. Thank you so much. We always love having you guys for the live stream, and see you on Tuesday for our regularly scheduled Tuesday Newsday segment. Also, Steve is going to try to see if he can get Tuesday, if we can get Kick going, because Kick, like streaming has been tricky, but we're hoping that that'll be the first first time we can actually get it going. So, like, we'll see.
I basically have to reset my entire like Restream account.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because it just does not allow me to do anything right now.
You can do it, buddy. I believe in you.
We'll figure it out. Okay, so we'll see you Tuesday. Until then, have a great weekend. And as always, God bless.
God bless.